Hi. Today I'm going to talk about why insight makes some people worse. Most people think that insight is the beginning of change. They think once they understand what's happening, once the pattern becomes clear, that relief should follow. But there's a detail almost no one ever notices. By the time insight arrives, the body has usually already acted. Capacity has already narrowed. Tolerance has already dropped. And what insight adds at that point is not freedom, it's demand. Today I want to talk about why clarity often makes people worse, not emotionally, but mechanically. Why anxiety spikes after understanding. Why doing the work sometimes accelerates collapse. And why the body doesn't wait for permission before it enforces a stop. This isn't about motivation or trauma narratives or personal failure. It's about timing and biology and the mistake we keep making when we confuse awareness with authority. Today I'm going to talk about something that people find deeply uncomfortable and even threatening. This is the idea that insight, real insight, does not necessarily help, and in many cases makes things worse. This goes against almost everything we're taught. We're told that awareness is progress, that clarity is healing, that once you see what's going on, you can finally change it. As if you can change yourself. We can change our identity, we can change our reactions, but we can't change our authentic self, that person that we were born as. Anyway, that belief rests on a false assumption, the assumption that insight arrives before the body has already acted. In reality, insight usually arrives late. By the time most people say, I finally understand what's happening to me, the body's already begun withdrawing permission. And before that, it's probably acted in its own capacity. I'm smiling because I'm thinking about a particular student of mine that I've recently spoken to who acted and then afterwards thought that they'd understood. In actual fact, they had already done what they didn't want to do. Anyway, this happens, it doesn't happen metaphorically, it happens literally in day-to-day lives. It happens under sustained stress. It's the system responsible for deliberate control, focus, inhibition, flexibility. And these are among the first to degrade. This is not psychology, it's neurology. Executive capacity weakens early, and what often remains intact for longer is monitoring. So you can still notice yourself, you can still narrate what's happening, you can still think about your thinking, but you can no longer regulate effectively. And that creates a dangerous asymmetry. You can see what's happening, but you no longer have the resources within your body to change it, to do anything about it. And this is why insight becomes destabilizing, because insight is not neutral, it's an intervention. The moment you understand something, you increase the monitoring, you increase the responsibility, and you increase the self-regulation. And that costs energy. If capacity is intact, that cost can be absorbed. But if your capacity has already narrowed, it cannot. And this is why anxiety so often intensifies after clarity. People think anxiety means something is going wrong. In this context, It means regulation hasn't stopped yet. The system keeps issuing commands. Monitor this, manage that, don't fail, stay alert, into a body that's already reduced output. Anxiety here is not chaos, it's order continuing past its usefulness. And this is why it feels busy rather than diffuse, pressured rather than confused, exhausting rather than relieved. The system hasn't collapsed, it's refusing to stop.